Stern, firm, and young with a laid-back tongue. The aim is to succeed and achieve at 21.
Yo, Black, it's time, word. It's time. It's time, man. Janesville presents Creators Corner.
Welcome on another episode of Creators Corner. My name is James Dale, and my next guest is Lady Toya Toy Honey Ballard. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. Heaven is with us. The Lord is with us. God is blessing us, to see another day. Let me give a little background of Miss Toy Honey. Lady Toya was born and raised in Flint, Michigan. She's a poet, spoken word artist, and a singer/songwriter. She was introduced to poetry and music at a young age, which was no surprise when she earned a full music scholarship after graduating from Beecher High School, where she studied for 4 years of choral. Over the years, Toy matured artistically, honing her skills in the local open forums and open mics, showing where she gained the respect of so many artists by her vocal range, cadence, stage presence. She landed a radio host gig in July 2011 where she interviewed many A-list celebrities, her favorite being Curtis Blow. She says, as a pioneer in hip-hop, I always admired his wordplay and impact on the culture. Toy also studied some great writers who inspired her to write deeper, more profound poetry and short stories. She became a published author in February 2014 with her book, Honey Elixir, which was well received by her peers. She also has published works in poetry in many compilation books and magazines. Her poem, Wake Up, was featured in an international compilation book called World Healing in 2012. Her poem garnered her to be published in other publications such as Poetry and Pose, Vertical Life magazine, and many others. Toy is an activist and is a part of a poetic troupe called Enlistic Soldiers, a group of artists that use the spoken word to bring awareness to social injustices and to impart humanitarianism. She took it upon herself to use her talent to bring more awareness to social issues. She obtained radio features because she wanted to do more than just write. She wanted her words to be heard. Her features include the Artist Lounge, She Says, He Says Radio, and The Real Report. To date, she has protested in many local rallies in her community. Toy became a TV producer in the summer of 2015, where she worked for the TV show Spoken Revelations on Enlistic TV. Through her creativity and hard work, she obtained a Gospel Choice Award nomination in 2018. In 2022, her single, Play Your Guitar, was selected for the Figure of Speech Spoken Word compilation album. Toy's single, Rise, has been a staple on many radio stations because of its positive message. Her song has hit #1 on local Reverb Nation charts and is playing on many internet and FM stations. She is currently producing a film called A Hand That Heals Never to Hurt. In 2023, Toy also recently dropped her first album, Lady Toy, Regardless of Poetry, now on all streaming platforms. Say all of that stuff 3 times fast because you are an accomplished individual, and that is not including the fact that you are a mother.
Oh,
you can't even mention none of that stuff. So that is the biggest creation of all, being a mom. So I'm going to give you your flowers, give you your praise for doing that. I'm going to include that because there's no better creation. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right.
Okay. You in your bio, you said you was exposed at a young age to poetry. What motivated you to write and recite poetry?
My dad.
Okay.
It was my dad. I remember I was in 3rd grade, and my 3rd grade teacher gave us this assignment to recite The Negro Speaks of Rivers by Langston Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
And out of all the projects I had to do in school, he was more passionate about this, and he pushed and pushed, and he said, you have to learn this poem. You have to learn it. And not knowing that poetry comes from his side of the family. Now, my dad and myself, I got to speak about my dad a little bit because he's been gone for, I say, about 32 years. My dad was an athlete, and he was also an artist. He was in drama, and he also was singing. The poetry of, I say, his youngest sister, my aunt, she, not too long ago, released a poetry book. Mm-hmm. So it came from him.
So poetry is in the DNA. So you had absolutely no choice of the path that you went through. So when he saw that spark, he was like, yes.
Yeah.
I got it. There's another one. The poetry gene is going to live on to another generation. So that means you're going to look forward to seeing one of your kids take on the baton, take on the banner, the flame, and light the flame in the next generation. That's good. That's very passionate. You are a poet, singer / songwriter, and a writer. What art form do you like to do the most?
Repeat the question again.
I said you are a poet and a singer and a songwriter. Writer. You write books and short stories and prose. Mm-hmm. Which art form do you like to do the most?
Ooh. Wow. It just depends on what I'm feeling at the moment. Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, it's been a while since I've written in that form because I created what I did a while ago, and now it's like with my album and everything, I'm just doing poems or doing poems that are going to that I mean to be songs, mm-hmm. or I'm going back and getting poems that I've already written and turning them into songs. I haven't done this in, I say ever since I was a teenager.
Okay.
And in high school, that was where I really got into it, but I really got into songwriting. And I studied art from not just Langston Hughes, but William Shakespeare.
Okay.
Maya Angelou. Shakespeare, when it came to writing romantic poems, Shakespeare was my inspiration.
You didn't draw from your own personal experiences, heartbreak and breaking hearts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So when it came to romance, Shakespeare was my inspiration. And then while I was in high school, I was introduced to more writers. I was introduced to Zane and Eric Jerome Dickey, may he rest mm-hmm. in peace. And the way he wrote, that really inspired me. I said, wow. I said, how did he take this? And then he go, so writers like him really inspired me. And it started in high school. So back to the question. I don't mean to get off the subject, but right now I have been focusing on my purpose. Mm-hmm. Writing more poems, and if those poems are meant to be songs, then I write songs. But when I get the time, free time, I can get back into writing the short stories and everything. But right now my focus is poems and songs.
Okay, that's cool. You studied at the prestigious Beecher High School, being traditionally trained vocalist. What part of the process was most memorable?
Wow. I would say, there's so many memorable parts. I would say when my choir teacher told me my freshman year, she took me aside and she said, your voice isn't strong enough, because I wanted to be a part of this group that was called the Choraliers.
Mm-hmm.
She said, once you strengthen your voice, then we can bring you back to this group. Before I was done with my freshman year, I would say after I told my mother that, she enrolled me into Flint Institute of Music.
Mm-hmm.
I got a voice teacher. He worked with me, and it was some times when I was sick. I remember I went to my voice lessons with a full stomach. He pushed me, and I'm going to tell you now, when you're doing voice exercises with a full stomach, that is not a walk in the park.
Mm-hmm.
So I was taking voice lessons for a short period of time. Quickly, my voice started to strengthen, and once my choir teacher seen that, and she heard it, by the end of my freshman year, she put me back in the Corliers. I started traveling with them from certain places to perform for other people.
Okay, that's cool. I remember back in high school, we did a play called Little Shop of Horrors. I'm sure people heard of that. And I
Oh.
had a stage fright, and my drama teacher wanted me to play the plant, right? Um,
Mm.
and I studied the words, I studied the part, but I just couldn't do it, you know. So what I did was became a stage-hand, right?
Mm.
And looking at all of the components and the actors and the process, I I suggested that they have like a group, you know, because you know in the scenes the dentist and all the other his cronies would sing and dance and stuff. So I said, you know, we should do a singing group called the Swift Tone. So everybody was like, yeah, we should. So I understand the whole process of strengthening your voice and singing from your diaphragm, and each
Mm.
one of us had a different voice tone. You know, you had the soprano, you had the baritone, and I think it was a pretty cool experience, and that helped me with my stage fright, and that's why I really don't have a issue with speaking in front of people and performing from
Mhm.
those tender ages. But back to you. How do you segue into being a radio host?
Wow. That happened because I started showcasing my poetry in 2011. Actually, it was spring of 2011. Right after I turned 29 in that year, I was approached by a radio show host who had a show on Blog Talk Radio. He knew me through a fellow poet, so he approached me and asked if I would like to host the show with him. And this was two shows, really. One was a poetry show, and one was a show um, based on topics.
Hmm.
So it was based on topics, and we would get feedback from guests that we have on. So it was from there that I learned how to not only host, but how to interact with people and also how to handle the show.
Okay, okay. Well, was that a nerve-wracking experience? I know it's really not public speaking because you're behind the scenes and nobody see your face. Was it as nerve-wracking to do radio as it would be to perform on stage?
Ooh, I say, it was the same experience for me.
Okay.
Even though no one could see me and it was over the telephone, I would still get nervous, but that only lasted 5 minutes, and then after 5 minutes, I'm free.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's nothing to fear but fear itself, you know, because
Mhm.
they wouldn't have asked you to join the show if they didn't believe in your range, believe in your stretch, you know. So, and then God don't put you in any situation that you're not prepared for, that He didn't prepare you for. So, anything
Mhm.
that you go into, you got to jump into it because it's your time. It's supposed to be happiness. It's ordained, you know. Out of all of your poems over the years,
Mhm.
which one is your favorite? Which one stands out? Which one touches you and you get that wind underneath your wings when you perform it?
Wow, that's a hard one because there's so many, and I would say my favorite one. It was. I have to say my current favorite one. Actually, there's two. My current favorite one is I Lift My Hands.
Okay.
It's my favorite one because this actually was about, I wrote this 2012, January
Mm-hmm.
2012. It's funny how you remember when you wrote a poem.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote it in January 2012 because I was going through this spiritual journey. I was
Mm-hmm.
going, so many things having to do with it, but I was also waiting to meet my husband.
Okay.
And
I
it was
think.
a lot of personal things I was dealing with, and I allowed it to take me into depression.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to myself, I was like, what? I said, no, not again. So I did my praying, and I just did the process of getting out of that depression. And then I wrote this poem. And I said, and I just left it in our Heavenly Father's hands. I said, if I meet him, okay, but I'm going to wait on you. I'm going to be patient. And not too long after I wrote that poem, I met him.
That's good. So you put it out there, you put it in the ether, and God heard your prayers. Yeah, and it's so fitting that I have this shirt on that says "Be free." You know, and if we all would be free and just lift our hands and then let God take the wheel, we would, be free. We would come into our own, and everything will become easier. I'm not saying life is going to be easy, but it will be easier because you are not alone. It takes a village to raise a child, and it takes that same village to carry along through life. If you don't have the same people in your life throughout your life that helps you through, the good times and the bad times, you will always attract the people in your life at the right time that's going to help you to the next stage of your evolution. So you just have to trust the process, and you lift your hands, like Miss Toy
Mm-hmm.
says. That was very beautiful and poignant. And your bio states that you write, and you was inspired by some prolific authors. You mentioned Zane. You mentioned
Mm-hmm.
uh, Shakespeare. Is there specific pieces that you can think of that lit the bulb in your head that gave you that aha moment to where you knew that, okay, this is something that I need to incorporate in my own writing process so I can be a best version of myself as a writer.
I would say what I have learned from all of the writers that I have mentioned is be true to yourself as an artist and give the reader give the reader entertain them, but also write something that will make them think.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm telling you, it's works that I've written by Shakespeare. Well, Shakespeare automatically. You think you're like, okay, how can I translate? What does this mean? And for example, the word die.
Mm-hmm.
The way Shakespeare uses it is not the way everybody thinks he uses it. For one of my favorite works that he created is Romeo and Juliet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting up here thinking to myself, like, okay, when he wrote about them dying, they actually died. No. And it's going to be some people that disagree with me on it and want to debate.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think about it's other works he wrote. When he wrote about dying, it was about consummation.
Mm-hmm.
The lovers consummated. So that's what he wrote about when it came to Shakespeare. Both of they were young and they died, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because
Mm-hmm.
he was one of the writers who were commissioned by King James to translate the Bible into English. So he more than likely, as you put it poignantly, he used that in his own personal writing because you have
Mm-hmm.
passages in the Bible specifically with Lot and his wife, and when the angels came down to warn them about the impending firestorm, with the brimstone and fire, that when the angels were inside, the people outside said they wanted to know the angels, and when you see that, knowing is, consummating the relationship. You know what I mean? So that is something that is a different spell on things in Shakespeare, what he uses and how you use words that means something else, and that in itself is very poetic.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So your range as a singer, I'm not gonna put you on the spot and sing a few notes, but could you, I know you mentioned your singing coach in chorus, saying that your voice wasn't strong enough. Can you go through the
Mhm.
process of what you did to strengthen your voice?
Mhm. Well, when I first started singing, I was singing from here.
Okay.
I wasn't singing from the diaphragm.
Okay.
So he taught me, like, get out of here, get out of that neck, get into your stomach. And when he showed me basically how to fully depend on my diaphragm to sing, oh, my voice got stronger. But sometimes, and every singer can agree with me, when you are performing for a long period of time, say you're performing for an hour,
Mm-hmm.
your voice starts to get tired. And sometimes you go here a little bit. You're not supposed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Not supposed to do that. When you feel yourself going here, be like, wait a minute, I'm getting a little hoarse. It's like you're in your throat. You're not supposed to be there. You have to go in your diaphragm. You have to go in your diaphragm. I remember so many things I was learning as a singer, not only how to sing correctly, but how to enunciate your words. And that also helped me with performing as a
Mm-hmm.
poet because I would say, honestly, in my opinion, I would say spoken word artists enunciate their words better than singers.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear singers and some rappers, you be like, what did they just say? What was it that they just sung? It sounded good, but what did they just sing? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many times when I've asked myself, like, what? Like, okay, for example, Notorious B.I.G., what song is it? One More Chance. It was something he said in there. I said, what did he just say? I didn't understand it. There was so many singers. It was a song in particular I'm thinking of. I'm like, what did they just sing? It sound good, but what did they just sing? And it was a praise song, and I said, I don't want to sing it wrong. What did they just sing?
Yeah, I think as poet, being a poet myself, I did a lot of spoken word open mics, and
Mhm.
after my performance in the early years, people would approach me and say the same thing, ask the same thing. Oh, I love your poem, but in this part, if you would have said it louder or said it slower, I would really fully understand what you were saying because I'm rapping. I was a part of a rap group when I was
Wow.
younger before I started spoken word. So with poetry, because it's a cappella, it's just you and the microphone and whoever is listening. So your word is your beat. If you don't have somebody in the background with the conga drums or the piano or a violin or anything like that, it's just you and the microphone. So your words have to reach the people in the back. Your words have to reach people's minds. People have to close their eyes and move, and your cadence have to make them sway, and they have to feel the beat when there's no beat. So if you speed through certain things and you use your cadence to try to sway them, is not going to work with some people, especially the older audience. I got approached with a lot of older people who are not as fast with certain lingos, so you have to enunciate your words. See, right now, when I recite a poem, I don't speak how in the same speaking voice. I try to enunciate every syllable, so every word it resonates. Every word is loud and clear, so nobody don't have anything to say about, oh, what did he say? No, you're gonna hear what I said because it is important for people to hear your poetry, and you could more than likely attest to it being a poet, spoken word artist, that each word is your darling with your poetry, and you want your words to resonate with everybody, from young to old, religious or secular, everybody. You want those words to resonate. So it's very important, very important. So you have been killing them softly since you was a young lady. Was there anything else that you had in your life that when you was a little girl that you had an ambition for? Did you want to be a nurse? Did you want to be a doctor? Or was it always poetry for you?
Well, honestly, I would say my dream goal for my life, ever since I really became serious with it at the age of 13, was being a singer.
Hmm.
That's why I remember saying to my family not too long ago, I said, if you had told me at the age of 13 that I would be a spoken word artist, incorporating my singing in it, I would have been like, get out of here.
Hmm. No. Okay. So
I
being
didn't believe it. And matter of fact, to be honest with you, I didn't know that you could do spoken word that way until I seen um mm, there was a certain young lady that had a song on the Waiting to Exhale soundtrack. I can't remember her name, but the name of the song was "And I Gave My Love to You" because she has Shantae Moore singing backgrounds on it. That's when I was, and then Toni Braxton had this song on her album in '96 called "Talking in His Sleep." She was doing spoken word.
Mhm.
Yes, and flowetry. Oh wow.
So you said flowetry, flowetry.
Mhm.
When you heard flowetry, because I know they are that British group where one is a singer, one is a spoken word artist, and they incorporate both. It was definitely new, and it always take one group to merge two genres together to get people to go, oh, like I remember in the 90s where they merged hip hop and dance hall music with like Puff Daddy and Supercat and Biggie Small,
Mhm.
and everybody was like, "Huh, that sounds good," and then people gravitated towards it. But a lot of people don't know that hip hop has its start in reggae. Like Who Hurt was Jamaican, so it always had a marriage from the beginning, but people don't give that credit. People not really historians. They just listen to music for the times, and then they enjoy it for the moment. So you mentioned being a singer at the age
Mhm.
of 13 and always wanting to be a singer. That moment where you split off and started spoken word, is there a specific event that happened that made you want to focus more on poetry than songwriting, being a singer-songwriter?
Yes, it happened. I say after I graduated from high school. After I graduated from high school, you know how you plan things,
Mm-hmm.
but our Heavenly Father says, oh, no, no, no.
Mm-hmm.
So my plan after I graduated from high school was to get in the music industry, to be a singer, to learn more about the business, and in some way be an entrepreneur in some sense.
Mm-hmm.
But my resources were lacking. So
Mm-hmm.
I got discouraged. And I said to myself, oh, goodness, I got to find something because I'm a young adult. I got to find something that I am not only good at, but is
Mm-hmm.
also a passion. So I studied interior decorating,
Okay.
got good in that, and then life happened. And as I was working a job, after I first became a mother, this is when I got back into writing because I hadn't written for years. Because I had started writing a novel with two of my friends, and unfortunately, one of them passed on, and we did get a chance to finish the book.
Sorry to hear that.
And so I said to myself, okay, I got to continue writing because I know she would want me to. And matter of fact, she is my best friend. I call her Shani. She was also another person who inspired me to get into poetry because she was a great poet, and she would always encourage me and mine. And I said, okay, I have to do this not just for her, but for my dad because he got me into this. So I said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm going to continue to get in this, and I'm going to stay in this because it would be a tribute to her and my father. So once I got back into it, and actually it was a fellow writer who noticed one of my short stories and said, what about poetry? And I was thinking to myself, I haven't done poetry in so long. So when he approached me about doing a collaboration, automatically I got back into poetry. And it's kind of funny how that works. And I was like, wait a minute, because I wanted to get into the mode of writing short stories.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like I was just focused on poetry. I was like, I got to get back into that. And I said, I have to wait. See, as an artist, you have to learn that about yourself. You have to wait until the inspiration comes. You can't force it.
Mm-hmm.
So once I got back into poetry, it was like second nature. So that's why I look at groups like Flowetry. Flowetry combined two of my favorite things, and they made it work well, very well.
Okay, that's cool. Um, Singing. Your single "Rise" is a singing slash poetry single. You have other pieces like that, or "Rise" is the only piece that merges the two genres.
Well, when it comes to see Rise was that is also something. I think Rise started off as a poem. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't intend for it to be a spoken word song because I wrote it, I'd say about good 10 or 11 years ago. It was just a short piece. And I wrote it based off of something that I saw on the news and everything. And, I'm passionate when it comes to topics of racism or injustice of some kind. So I just said to myself, okay. And my husband encouraged me. He said, you should do this as a spoken word song. So Rise, No, Not Always
Mm-hmm.
is another one. trying to think of something else that's conscious. Woman, you are. Even if it's not speaking of, injustices, it's speaking about, encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
So as an artist, I've always wrote pieces that were not only sensuous and romantic, but also encouraging.
So the themes of most of your works has to do with that topic, love and consciousness and
Mhm.
those things. Okay, that's cool. So you are one of the conscious poets, which we need nowadays. We need less come and feel my body and more feel my heart and my mind, because people get beat down by life and they need some upliftment. You
Mhm.
can't necessarily just want to enjoy things and forget about your life and then you have to come back to life. You just deal with it. If you have a thorn in your side, you don't put a bandage around the thorn and go about your day. You try to get the thorn out of your side or have somebody help you get that thorn out of your side. So works like
Mhm.
yours and artists like you who are conscious and you pretty much put the mirror up to people and have them look at themselves and try to be comfortable with who they are and their flowers and all of their greatness is a great thing because people don't go out there in the world lying to yourselves because you're going to get your feelings hurt at the wrong
Mhm.
time. So try to be honest before you even go out there in the world and deal with it. If you got a big toe and one small toe, love that big toe and small toe. Wear boots all the time because people are going to be like, "How come you wearing boots?" You know. So I thank you for being the way you are and having the music and the spoken word out there because us in our society we need that. We need truth. We need honesty.
Mhm.
You should be a politician because out there in the world, there's so much people that try to cover up and try to sugarcoat things, and you need not to sugarcoat anything. Just be honest,
Mhm.
and it's a breath of fresh air. And I want to give you the platform right now. It's open. Whatever pieces that you have coming up, whatever songs or projects you got going on, just um, let it fly. Let my audience know what you got in the works.
Okay. Oh, you giving me the chance to do spoken word?
I'm giving you the chance to do whatever you want.
Wow.
If you want to do a song, if you want to, do a poem, if you want to, just a shameless plug, words of wisdom, whatever you have in mind. This is your time. I won't even. I'm just going to be an audience right now, and I'm just going to enjoy Toy Honey for all of her glory. This is your
Okay. Well, I'm gonna do this song, and I think this song actually really catapulted my artistry. I'm gonna do Rise.
okay.
I rise, you rise, we rise above racism, sexism, violence, homelessness, addiction, toxic self-infliction, class, hatred. I rise, you rise, we rise above bigotry, ignorance, illiteracy, destruction, falsehood. Let us all rise above negativity. We rise together for the better. No more anguish and discord among us. Rising with love, breaking away from hate. Upwards we fly above stereotypes and fear, having our eyes on his treasure, going way past what they thought we would measure. We rise together to become ultimately better. Disdain our worst, only words. of unification. We will verbally verse.
Yeah, and we all will and shall rise with pieces like that because it's very inspirational, and I'm inspired now to pick up a pen and a pad and get back into it and write some more stuff. Is there anything on the horizon for you that your audience, your fans don't know about that is coming out that's in the works for you?
We are currently working on an upcoming single, which will be a surprise. Matter of fact, I was working on it, like doing videography and photography and on location, and people were just sitting by, just looking, and I'm like, well, we're trying to do something here. But yeah, that's upcoming. It will be a surprise, and you will be one of the first people to know about it once it's finalized, it's completed. And I'm still working on other things too to expand my artistry. One thing I can say that annoyed me 12 years ago when I came and started showcasing my artistry was that people would try to box you in. And I didn't like that. And I was like, oh no, don't leave me in this genre. I just write in this genre. No, I'm an artist. So I'm going to experience what I'm inspired to experience. So don't just call me this type of writer,
A Renaissance woman.
Yeah.
Like Leonardo da Vinci, who was a mathematician. He was an engineer. He drew. He did all kind of things. Inventor. So being a producer, singer, songwriter, mom, do you have anybody under your wing? Do you have an understudy? Is there any artist that you inspire and say this is the thing that I've done and I see your talent, anybody you promoting?
Wow. No, not yet. But if you're saying if there's anybody I'm teaching, it's my daughter.
Okay.
It's my daughter. And I was hoping for someone like that because I see that about a lot of artists. Some of them are selfish in their art. They won't use their talent to teach others. They're only keeping it for themselves. I'm a student of life, but I also like to teach what I know. So I was hoping for someone, but I have my daughter. So
So we're putting it out there in the ether. Anybody out there who want to be trained classically singing, poet, and that is stuck in the rut, who don't know how to get up, Toy Honey could teach you, bring it up under her wing, and help you to get out of that plateau. Because as artists like you that needs to be in the forefront and spearheading the art form, because we are part of the diaspora. Sometimes we get bogged down with life. Life happens, and you have kids, and you have to work a 9 to 5, and we don't have too much time for our passions, our creativity. So you are one of the chosen few that is blessed with having a creative bone, and you are out there doing just that. So anybody out there, this is the reason for Creators Corner, who thinking about creating, who wrote a short story back in high school or in college, or have a poem that's in the closet somewhere from a crush or a loved one that you felt free doing it. Dust it off, do something with it, because it will make you free. It make you be the best version of yourself when you are living your truth, and your truth is your creativity. On that note, I appreciate your time, Ms. Toy. This is the next episode of Creators Corner. I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for being my guest. This was an honor to get this interview. And you can find her stuff on any platform out there. It's Toy Honey. Do you have a website? Do you want to leave with the people so they can go directly to your website to get your stuff?
You can. Well, if you want to purchase, you have to, goodness, because I have searched this and it's so many artists under the name Toy. So I would say first and foremost, go to our website, enlistedmedia.com. That's NLISTIC media.com. From there, you will see the links to my social media, my fan page. I always post the album link on my page. You can find me at facebook.com/Toy the Artist. You can go on there. You will find the album link. It's on all digital platforms, DistroKid, YouTube Music, Apple. It's on all digital platforms. You can find the whole album. And also, I want to say this. I have posted about the fans at if they have listened to the album, which single do they think should be the next? Because right now, I have Rise, and my song, I Lift My Hands, is on the gospel chart. So I'm putting that out there, Whichever song you would like to hear as my next single, go to my page, facebook.com/Toy the Artist. Let me know.
Okay, yeah, we're starting the poll so the people could get some further food, some further inspiration. And before we go, you mentioned activism and humanitarian. Is there any foundations or anything that you would like people to donate to help people in need and help you and your fellow people on the road for activism and humanitarianism that can help along and help the people that are needy?
Well, my husband and I, we have been working, I would say about 9 or 8 years, our own organization called So Ice.
Okay.
And this is for only people who are serious. We need only serious people. We are working with other people who are in need of a meal, or it's just a lot of activism work. I'm not going to give everything, but this is totally for helping people in need. So that is.
What is the site that people could donate and help along with the movement?
We don't have one just yet.
Okay.
We don't have one just yet because it's we're still in the work, and we're doing a lot of groundwork right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I appreciate you and all of you have done in the world just far, and as many things on the horizon for you, and I thank you for coming along. This is the latest episode in a long running episodes of Creative Corner, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Peace.
Also, with our organization So Ice, if there's anyone who are serious about working with us, you can call us. Our business line, 413-273-1839, and you can also email us enlistedmedia@gmail.com.